The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Good morning, everyone. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your guest commentator for the day. And since this is my first time on Ben's platform, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Brian Lewis. I have a blog that I started back in 2016 called Black and Intellectual. I have a YouTube channel that goes by the same name, where I talk about a lot of current news stories, as well as stories that I don't think get enough attention and spotlight, but are still very important stories to talk about, like investigative reports, investigative studies, and things like that. Politically speaking, I'm an independent progressive. Was part of the Democratic Party for a very long time, but that changed in 2016. I'm pretty radical in my outlook on a number of topics compared to where the mainstream of American political discourse is. Even though, me personally, I don't think that a lot of my views are that radical or should be that radical. But that's why I said it's in relation to where the mainstream of American political discourse is, which is very far right. Which, you guys who follow Ben already know that. So that's a little bit about me, but today I want to talk about the fall of Kanye West. Kanye West is officially in the sunken place, y'all. What is that based on? Well, in case you weren't on Twitter yesterday, which honestly is not a bad thing, Kanye West essentially doubled down on his support for Trump. Now, we've known for a while now that Kanye was, at least on the surface, a slight Trump supporter. But Kanye West has said so many crazy things in the past, said and done so many crazy things in the past. I don't know how many people really took him seriously. But of course, we all know that Kanye took the photo with Trump. I want to say it was at Trump Tower at the beginning of Trump's presidency. He was at a concert at one point in time in the past where he came out and said he would have voted for Trump. So we've had signs in the past that Trump or that Kanye was a Trumpster, but he essentially doubled down on his support for Trump. There's a photo on Twitter, in case you didn't see it, which I think most people probably did because it went viral. But it's a photo of Kanye West wearing a Make America, one of the red Make America Great Again hats, with a couple of white music executives draped over his shoulder. And one of them was throwing up one of the little okay hand signals that a lot of people believe means something else. Is a slight reference to white power. I don't know. I don't think that applies to everybody who uses that hand signal, because that's a very common hand signal. But one of them was throwing up the little okay hand signal, draped around Kanye West, and he has the red MAGA hat on. Then there's another Twitter photo that Kanye West shared on his profile, that he shared on his timeline, of his Make America Great Again hat, signed by, I believe, Donald Trump, and he had like 30 flame emojis above it, with saying that my MAGA hat is signed, and he was real happy and gleeful about that. He's going around talking about how he, quote, loves Donald Trump. Now, he's backtracked a little bit recently and said, no, I love Hillary Clinton too. But no, I don't. People aren't really buying that. That's he's covering his behind, basically. And I know Ben covered his comments supporting black conservative Candace Owens a couple days ago. Well, the foolery continues with Kanye. But really, when has that ever been a surprise when it came to Kanye West? Kanye at one point, had defenders, had a lot of defenders at one point, honestly. People who looked past his countless over-the-top, overly dramatic outbursts, overly emotional episodes. But I think he's officially been canceled by at least half his fan base, if not more. And I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get it out of the way now. You know, before I get too far into this episode. Kanye West does not care about black people. Yes, I said it. He does not care about black people. Not in a racial hatred type of way. I'm not saying he hates black people. I don't think he hates black people. But in a bourgeoisie, elitist, super capitalist type of way. He's totally out of touch with regards to where the mainstream of black political thought currently is. Okay? But that's who Kanye probably considers his people now. The super capitalists, the plutocrats. They're his people now. Not the activists on the street. Not the single mother raising kids on her own. Not the college graduate with mountains of student loan debt. No, Kanye's people are the MAGA idiots now. and I know this is not my platform, so understand that. Like when I talk about a lot of Trump supporters, I don't really hold back. I don't really bite my tongue too much about people who support a man who's destroyed the lives of countless people in this country, and seeks to destroy the lives of even more countless people in this country. I don't have a lot of sympathy and empathy for people who still at this point double down on their support of Donald Trump. Supporting him in the beginning was one thing. Before he was really, into his term, before, people really saw what type of president he would be. I didn't support him back then either, but I would have at least maybe given some slight benefit of the doubt. Not even a lot, but some slight benefit of the doubt before he really got into office. But now, 2018, a year and a half into his presidency, no, there are no more excuses. There's no more F's to give. Like, I'm all out of... I just have a tier collection plate at this point. But let me continue. Kanye West is part of the black bourgeoisie, okay? The black buffer class. What I call the black collaborator class. Whatever you want to call them. I'm not saying all black people with money are in this group. No, I'm talking specifically about a group of black people who allow themselves to be used as pawns by white conservatives. Okay, many of them consciously and knowingly allow themselves to be used as pawns. I did a whole video on my channel called Fake Black Spokespeople Threaten the Community. In that video, I talked about this dynamic on the right of propping up black people in America who will push their agenda. Okay, the same way black strongmen have been propped up abroad in African and Caribbean countries. So you have, these right-wing dictators that get propped up abroad. We kind of think that that's only a foreign phenomenon, that black Americans here in domestically at home can't be propped up and used in the same way for population control that you see in other countries. And I'm here to tell you that, no, that's very possible here too. And I think what we're seeing play out in the media is a reflection of that. Maybe not to the extent that it happens in other countries, because we're not talking about leaders who have the power of life and death like a dictator does, but we're still talking about thought leaders. We're talking about people who have a lot of influence, people who can be used to persuade people in the African American community to behave a certain way or to think a certain way. So that's why you see certain people given very large platforms, because it's about micromanaging and it's about trying to control the way we think. Okay? And don't think for a second that celebrities don't have this power. They do. Okay, celebrities have a lot of influence. So we are not incapable of falling into those same traps. So that's the new hustle now. The new hustle is to be a black conservative who will provide political cover for an anti-POC or an anti-people of color agenda. Okay, you see a gang of them on Fox News and even CNN MSNBC, not so much. And I'm not even saying all black commentators are this way. In my opinion, I think black commentators fall into two main categories. They're either conservative, and even among the conservatives, you have some who are a little bit more sane than others. So I'm not even saying they all fall into this collaborator category. But you have the conservatives, and you have the ones who are just the Kool-Aid drinking Trump supporters. And then you have the ones who are more sane in their conservative beliefs. But then you have the more establishment commentators, the ones who are a little bit more moderate, a little bit more centrist. You might have a couple or few who echo a more leftist or center-left perspective. But from my perspective, there seems to be a balancing act that's completely out of whack. In terms of the people that you see representing our community on television, okay, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying all black conservatives get down like that, but you have to see. But question this: do you see black leftists and black radicals given that same access on major media platforms? The answer is no. And do you see, even when you have certain politicians in office, who are they circling themselves around? It's not black leftists, it's not black radicals. It's people who will echo a certain line or who will toe a certain line. So you have to ask yourself, why is it always the black conservative being given a multi-million-dollar platform? Okay? Political agenda has a lot to do with this. But let me get back to Kanye for a second. How can I best say this? Let's see. Kanye West is not a very bright person. Okay, he's extremely narcissist. Which is probably why he likes Trump so much. He once said that he's a proud non-reader of books. I don't know anybody that's ever said that before. That's an actual quote. At another time in the past, he commented about how he didn't like to think too hard. Then people might be saying, well, a lot of people don't like thinking too hard, Brian. Well, yeah, a lot of people don't like thinking too hard, but most people don't admit it. And if it's something, they don't admit it as if it's something to be proud of. Okay, I'm the complete opposite myself. I love to think. I love to research and build complex concepts and theories in my head. But I mean, people have given this man way too much credit. Okay, way more credit than he deserves. Okay, I was a Kanye fan between 2004 and 2007, which I view as his golden years. Okay, that was, back in my, I want to say, late high school, early college days. College dropout, late registration, graduation. So yeah, you're talking about 04, 05, 06, 07, around that time. Those were his three best single albums. And guys, he's not going back to that time. Graduation came out 11 years ago. Okay? It came out over a decade ago. We just have to admit it. Kanye West has fallen off. He's lost his marbles. He uses these antics, these public stunts, as a way of staying relevant. Okay, should we really be taking a man seriously who said that he doesn't like to think too hard? Is that who we should really be looking up to? The obvious answer is no. He may have the right to his political beliefs. Fine. Because that's something that you hear a lot of. You hear a lot of conservatives in general get on this, but especially this is something that you hear a lot of black conservatives echo. Where they try to frame themselves and frame their positions and beliefs as being somehow enlightened, because that's something else. Kanye at once tried to exist in this space where he was considered an intellectual, where he was considered to be quote unquote woke, quote unquote conscious, and that's something. That's a label, and I'm not talking about woke per se. I'm talking about conscious. That's a label that I consider myself that, but I don't put that label on me. I don't put that label on myself because there are way too many people in that space, in the so-called conscious space, who have some very toxic beliefs. Okay, but Kanye West and I don't beliefs that I don't adhere to or beliefs that I don't even believe in. So I just stick to my independence as an independent progressive. Those are really the only labels I put on myself. But at one point in time, people tried to put Kanye in that conscious intellectual category. Oh, his songs are so enlightened. He in one of his songs he dropped a verse about the prison system and the prison complex. I believe it was in his song "New Slaves." So people think that just because somebody says something in a lyric, then that somehow translates to the real world. No, like what we see is that you can exist in a certain space in your music, and you can do that because that's part of your brand, that's part of your image. And that's clearly part of the image that Kanye has tried to foster for a number of years. He's tried to foster that image of being the conscious rapper, the woke rapper who speaks on enlightened topics and political topics that people don't want to hear about. No, like you can't have your foot in both arenas. Okay, you can't be fake like that. You can't talk about certain things in your music and have these very pseudo conscious things in your music, okay, but then get out in the real world and act like a dick, okay, and be a complete a-hole. And we honestly should have seen the writing on the wall after the Taylor Swift incident some years back. Okay, but a lot of people honestly gave him a pass after that happened. But honestly, people aren't giving him passes anymore. People are out of passes. Okay, we're not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady just handing out 50 passes a game. Okay, or throwing 50 passes a game. We're all out of passes. This is the end of the game. The game is over. There's no overtime. There's only interceptions at this point. And Kanye West is a giant interception, and he's running that ball back on the opposite end of the end zone. Okay, so we can't continue to cape for very toxic people in our community, people with very toxic views, people who are completely self-centered, only care about themselves, only care about their personal support base and personal finances and personal gratification. We're in an era right now where we're all looking to support each other. If there's nothing you can take away from, if there's nothing else that you can take away from a lot of the activism work that's going on in the black community right now, you have to acknowledge that communal support is integral to our survival, and it's acknowledged by a lot of people. The shortcomings of individualism and hyper consumerism, hyper individualistic consumerism, that stuff is really being questioned by a lot of people on the ground. So you're seeing this reflected in a lot of the political discourses that you see on social media. And Kanye West and not just Kanye West, but everybody that thinks like him. Okay, everybody that is just so self-absorbed that they see themselves as being gods in their own right. And I know some people say that the God is within you. I know a lot of people say that, but a lot of people don't When people say that, a lot of people say that they're talking about that from a religious perspective. They're not talking about it from the perspective that Kanye West is saying. Kanye West actually sees himself as a god. Like, he actually sees himself as God's gift to humanity. Like, I've never, his head is so massive now. Like, it's beyond belief how arrogant this man is. So, when you look at how he supports Donald Trump, you see a number of things align in his mentality and how Trump thinks. Trump is mentally a lot, very much in line with where Kanye West is. And that's why Kanye likes him so much. Okay, and you see this a lot with a lot of Trumpsters, a lot of Trump supporters. Unfortunately, we're not talking about people who value, we're not talking about people who value data a whole lot. Okay, and who value peer-reviewed information and who value information from sources that question their own beliefs. We're talking about people who live in a very tightly encapsulated bubble, very heavily encapsulated bubble, who only want confirmation bias, who don't want to think that hard, okay, and who think that you can support a man who has very terrible beliefs and is arguably one of the most corrupt presidents we've had in our history. Okay, and that's okay. Like, there's nothing logically wrong with that. There's nothing logically wrong with the things that he does. Like not Trump, but Kanye even said at one point in time that he believed in certain things that Trump said. He never really elaborated on what those things were. He said that Trump is futuristic, I think was the phrasing. Nobody knows what the heck that even means. What does futuristic mean? Well, how is Trump futuristic? I mean, you would think logically that he's saying progressive. I mean, if you're calling somebody futuristic, that means they're ahead of their time. They're progressed or progressive, or they're years ahead of where everybody else is. That's not Donald Trump. Trump isn't years ahead of the population in America. He's years behind everybody else. Trump is about 50, 60 years behind the vast majority of the American public. Trump is not progressive. He is regressive. He's not futuristic. He's antiquated. He's not ahead of the curve. He's behind the curve. He's the complete opposite of what Kanye West is saying he is. This man makes no sense. But should we expect anything different from a man who said he doesn't like to read and said he's proud of not being intellectual? Should we expect an educated, intellectual, political outlook from a man like Kanye West? The answer is clearly no. So, Kanye West said something else too. Okay, and I'm glad I thought about this before I ended this. This episode. Okay, Kanye West made a comment about Obama, and he said Obama was in office for 8 years, and nothing in Chicago changed. Okay. Let's break this down for a second. Now, my views of Obama are complicated. So I voted for Obama twice. I voted for Obama in 2008. Gladly, voted for him in 2008. I remember the 2008 election very clearly. I was at my mother's house. I was still in college at the time, and My friends were over. I was with my brother and a few of my friends were over. It was like four of us, and we were watching the returns on the election as the states were coming in. And when Obama was announced by the AP, the Associated Press, as the next president of the United States, me and my friends started running around outside. It was like probably 11. I don't remember specifically when it was called from, what time of the night, but it was definitely late. It was dark. And we were running around the neighborhood screaming, cheering, and everything like that. And then 2012 came around, and I was kind of like, okay, he's not what I thought he would be, but I'm going to vote for him anyway because the other guy would be worse. And then back then, I was still supporting Obama on a number of issues. I don't like a lot of the things that Obama did and didn't do, but at the same time, I support him. I support him against a lot of the racist attacks that he and his family were faced with. So that's my whole thing with Obama. I don't like it when right wingers try to use Obama, against the black community. I don't like that. I think when you have black people who supported Obama, like myself, back when he was in office, us criticizing him is one thing, because we put political capital into his presidency. We were a lot of his vocal supporters when he was in office. Okay, constructive criticism coming from people like me, and people like Ben and some other people who can be constructive and balanced. Criticism coming from people like us is one thing. Because when we say certain things about Obama, it's not coming from a place of spite. It's not coming from a place of spite, and it's not coming from a place of hate. With a lot of right-wingers and a lot of conservatives, what I've noticed is they try to draw a wedge between Obama and the black community. And this is what Kanye West is doing. Kanye West says Obama was in office for 8 years and nothing in Chicago changed. Okay, Kanye West has no place to say that. I mean, he has the right to say it, but Kanye West is a Trump supporter. What is Trump doing about Chicago, Kanye? Nothing. Matter of fact, when Trump ran for office, I remember Trump saying that he wanted to beef up the police state in Chicago. Okay, let me actually pull up. I don't have it right in front of me. Let me actually pull up Trump's statements directly. Yeah, that's what he said. Trump said he wanted to send the feds to Chicago if Chicago didn't fix the carnage. Okay, now nobody really knew what send the feds, because Chicago is already a police state. If you know anything about the Chicago Police Department, it's already a police state. They're actually even trying to build, I want to say, a $95 million super police station. Okay, in Chicago right now. I covered that on my channel as well. And Chance the Rapper has been on top of that, because he's a native of Chicago. That's what's going on in Chicago right now. Okay, nothing futuristic or progressive, Kanye West, is happening in Chicago. So, using Obama as a way of attacking, attacking what's going on in Chicago is completely disingenuous. Okay, but you see a lot of these black conservatives do that, and this is a method they are trying to use, because what they're doing is they are co-opting the language that they see a lot of black people on Twitter use. Because a lot of black people on Twitter, in some cases it's justified what a lot of black people on Twitter say about Obama. I think sometimes people go a little overboard, but the criticisms in many ways are justified. Okay, sometimes they're not, sometimes they are, but it is what it is. But that's beside the point, because what a lot of the alt-right people and what a lot of the super conservatives do is they see what we are saying on Twitter, okay, and they co-opt that language and they use it to push an alt-right or far-right agenda. Okay, we need to be very careful, very, very careful about people who use these right-wingers, okay, who use the language that originates among the black left, among black leftists and black radicals, using that language and co-opting that language of black radicalism and using it to push an alt-right or far-right ideology or alt-right or far-right mentality. We have to be very careful of that, because that's something else I'm seeing a lot too. I'm seeing a lot of people who are politically conservative in the black community talk like they are leftists, and they really aren't on a lot of issues. Okay, and Kanye West, I'm noticing Kanye West as he's in the Sunken place. I'm noticing him, echo a lot of those same, or push a lot of those same talking points. That's what I'm trying to say. So, before I end this show, I just want to say one thing. Kanye West may have the right to his political beliefs, like I said. Fine. But we also have the right to not take him seriously. We have the right to cancel him. Okay, and we definitely shouldn't be taking his political views seriously. But as for me, after he's thrown in with the Trump cult, okay, I'm not taking his music seriously anymore either. And really, I haven't for a while, for years anyway. Like I said, since 2011. And the last time I really took a Kanye song seriously was 2011, when he collaborated with Jay-Z on Watch the Throne. That's the last time. Okay, I didn't care about Yeezy like that. I didn't care about any of those tracks like that, because by the time Yeezy came out, I understood that Kanye West was a charlatan. Okay, I understood that by then, and I understood that he was hustling the black community. He was using the rhetoric of a lot of people on social media as a way of driving up sales. So he was using certain verses, and so he was using certain lines in his songs to try to make it seem like he was more aware and more enlightened than he actually is. And I saw that a long time ago, but I never really spoke on it before. Like, this is the first time I'm actually speaking on it. So I'm done with him. I'm done with his music. Yeah, you can have your political beliefs. Go right ahead. I'm not stopping you. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's stopping you from destroying your credibility. If you want to take a blowtorch to your credibility, Kanye West, be my guest. Here's more fuel, basically. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about Kanye West. So definitely share this video. I might be on in the future at some point in time. Follow me on Twitter @_blackintellect. Check out my blog at blackintellectual.com. And I will talk to you guys later, hopefully. And have a nice day.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.